Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tim Hart, branch manager of Van Dyke Mortgage. Welcome to an episode of the Heartbeat Show podcast here in Southwest Florida. Today, we're going to be talking about a cool topic. It's one that's kind of near and dear to my heart as a lover of chickens. We're going to be talking about Lee County chickens and having them here in Lee County. Today, I got with us Heather, and I'm not going to mess it up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to
Did
talk
I get the
about
last
this.
name right? Did I nail it?
You did. You did great.
Okay, cool. Heather's here. She runs a Facebook group called Backyard Chickens of Lee County, and kind of being buddies a couple days ago. It kind of was. I had heard that Lee County was going to have it on the agenda to bring on chickens or to allow chickens. Come to find out, it was basically just you going to talk to them, correct?
Yes, what we were trying to do was ask them to put it on the agenda beforehand through emails and calls to the offices of all of the commissioners.
Okay.
We had just started that, so it wasn't on the agenda yet. It does take a little bit of time. So.
Right. Yeah. And so anyways, someone had posted something about it. I got all jacked up about it, tagging county commissioners in the post and all types of fun stuff. But listen, I'm a firm supporter of all of us being able to have chickens, in our backyard. I want this podcast to be about two things, and we're going to get down to it is the benefits, of having the chickens. Mm-hmm. And I know you also want to dispel a few myths about them. And I really, though, want, if anyone's watching this right now, stick around, because towards the end, we want to get into what needs to be done in the county to make chickens legal to allow us to have chickens in our backyard. So, Heather, why don't you kind of take us away from here? Let's go over some of the benefits of chickens, or what is your story of how did you get involved in this? Let's start there. That's a better question.
Sure. My story. Okay. So, I'm a gardener, so I've always been kind of into, gardening and growing my own food and stuff like that. I think it's a great educational process for our children to learn. So I do have a son, and I've been teaching him how to grow his own garden. He has his own garden out there too. So it's been exciting for him to learn where his food comes from and what it takes to grow your own. It's been very important to me. What happened was when the COVID-19 thing happened here, we noticed that the food flew off the shelves, right?
Right.
That was pretty alarming, because that's how most of us feed our families. So we rely heavily on the grocery stores for our food. I was lucky enough that I have a garden, so I don't solely rely on the grocery stores for my food, but it made me realize I probably need to rely on myself a little bit more for my own food, right? Just to isolate and protect myself from instances like this. And that got me to do a lot of research on what's going on with the food, because I knew things have been happening all over the world, and that this is not just new here in Florida or Lee County. This is worldwide. Everyone in the world's having trouble getting food. Apparently, when we all don't go out to restaurants, it puts a lot of strain on the grocery stores because they're not really prepared for that. So out of that alarm, I started just searching for other ways to be able to produce more food, because you can only produce so much in your backyard garden, especially right. in Florida, when it's summer like 6 months of the year, and it's almost impossible to grow stuff at that time. So
yeah, everything just burned.
Yeah, or flooded by the rains.
Right.
So I was looking for something kind of easy to do that would fit in my residential lot, that would be easy to maintain and take care of, but produce food. So that was really important, and that's kind of why I went on the search and ended at chickens, because I found after gardening, kind of gardens and chickens go hand in hand. And you can go back to the early 1900s when the government used to tell people, grow a garden. They used to call them victory gardens because it was from World War I, right? So they wanted people, because that was another time when we started to also depend on other sources for our foods. And then they went away. So victory gardens, and then hens is what the government told everybody to do. And they actually told people to get roosters too, so they could be self-sufficient in producing their own ongoing chicken supply. Okay. Not probably great for the current standards that we're living in where I live right now, because people are really, when you say chickens, they think roosters and they think cock-a-doodle-doo, you know?
Yep.
So they think, oh, wow, that's really loud and alarming. I don't want that next door. So we're not suggesting that everyone in the city have roosters. Most places don't allow the roosters in the city anyway. So that's not even what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is having about 4 or 5 chickens, but laying hens specifically for eggs.
Well, just like in, Fort Myers passed their own ordinance, and, a lot of these places you can have hens, you just can't have roosters because they don't want roosters, blaring nonstop in residential neighborhoods, which I completely understand and agree with.
Yeah, city of Fort Myers and the city of Bonita Springs about 8 years ago passed their own ordinances. So it's been 8 years. Do you ever hear about that on the news? Do you ever hear about people complaining that they have chickens in those places on the news?
Well, that was one thing I was going to ask you was, has anyone from have you guys reached out to the city? Let me, a disclaimer here. So I've had chickens twice, 2 different addresses, and we love them. Like they're fun. They're a food supply, entertaining to us. Never once, this is a point I want to make, has a neighbor complained. Neighbors barely even know we have them unless we tell them we have them. And then you have a nonstop supply of eggs, and you're gardening, like you're saying, you have your nonstop supply of compost as well. I would be really curious to see what City of Fort Myers has to say as far as complaints. Like, have they had any? Like, do you know?
We tried to look it up, and people have tried to reach out, but no one had like any kind of statistics on that.
But it's been 8 years, and it's been 8 years, and they haven't stopped.
It's been 8 years, and what happened was they started out as pilot programs for like, I believe, a 2-year period, and each of those places. So what happened was they're like, okay, let's try it out. So they tried it out, and then it went so well they made it into law in both areas. So now it's law. It's not a pilot program that's temporary anymore. So obviously it was successful enough for them to take those steps. And like I said, I've been told by numerous people, lots of people keep chickens. They don't realize it's illegal, but you don't ever see or hear it. And we even walk through neighborhoods looking to see if we can hear chickens or see chickens or smell something weird. There's nothing. So I don't know why that's such a prevalent thought.
Well, let's get into, you wanted to hit a few myths. I mean, I think anyone watching this is going to know the benefits. I mean, you got the education, you've got the food supply of your eggs, you know where they're coming from, gardener, and quite honestly, they're entertaining pets too, on top of that. And they're not annoying, they're not high maintenance. So, I mean, I think I went over did I just hit all the benefits by myself?
You pretty much did. I think that is pretty much covered it.
But let's get into myths, and let's hit those real quick, and then get into the Lee County stuff.
Well, let's hit the myths.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a long list.
Oh boy! All right.
So I did a lot of research on this because I don't want to annoy my neighbor. Nobody else wants to intentionally annoy their neighbor. Well, most of us don't. So, myths. People who don't have chickens believe chickens are dirty and smelly.
Not true.
Okay, that's not true. The fact is that chickens spend hours each day dust bathing, meticulously preening themselves like any other bird, and to maintain good hygiene. When they're managed and cleaned properly with the coops and the runs, they don't smell, just like any other animal that might be outside.
Yeah, so I want to interject here too with you. So, we were always, from the get-go, turned on to diatomaceous earth. And, like that was a big worry, right? Flies and smell and whatever else. So this powder, if you're watching this, you don't know anything about chickens, it's a powder form. You get Futurals, shout out Futurals. And sure you get other places too, but Futurals comes to mind. And you just spread it out in the run, and you put it in their huge bag of food. So every time you give them their feed, there's 0 flies and there is 0 smell. The only time you ever get smell in a coop is if you, the human, does not clean it, once a week or something like that, which that's even low, and your kids can do it. So there you go.
Yep.
Sorry, keep going. I'm gonna keep it.
It's no problem. Interject whenever.
All right.
So I have an interesting fact here.
Okay.
So compared to dogs, chickens produce valuable waste that can be used as a valuable garden amendment, like you were saying, fertilizer for gardens. 5 hens produce about 5 ounces of valuable garden fertilizer daily, compared to an average dog that generates approximately 12 ounces of pathogenic, unusable feces per day.
But dogs are fun too. But yes.
Dogs are fun, but we can have dogs. There's no law, no weirdness about that at all.
That's right. That's normal.
Yeah, that's complete. Dogs, cats, that's okay.
Right. Not a chicken.
Not a chicken. You can have parrots.
You can have parakeets.
A lot of noise.
Yeah. You have parakeets and parrots in your patio, but you can't have a chicken in your backyard. Chew on that, Lee County Commissioner. Huh?
So you can have a pen outside filled with rabbits, and that's okay too.
What's up with the chicken hatred, Heather?
I don't know. I don't understand it. People have to actually, I think, do a little due diligence and educate themselves. That's what this world is about, right? Everything, educate yourself about it before you make an opinion.
Keep educating them. Let's go. What else?
Chicken keepers view their coops with a sense of pride. So we see some beautiful coops out there, right? They can look like a mini house in your backyard. It could be a replica. It may even look like a playhouse. Some people don't even realize they're chicken coops.
Sure.
There's never been any evidence to support the claim that backyard chickens hurt property values. Now, I want to interject after that, because there's a lot of real estate developers, agents that are concerned about this, because they think, oh gosh, if there's a chicken coop next door and I have to sell the house next to it, that's going to be a problem. It's only going to be a problem if it's not well maintained, and that's with anything. It could be junk in somebody's backyard. That's a problem. Yeah. So it's not a chicken thing.
Yeah. Let's speak perfectly clear here. If you don't keep care of your coop and it's all run down and ratty and nasty looking, high probability your entire backyard's going to look like that, and your front yard's going to look like that. So it ain't the coops, it ain't the chicken problem. It's your neighbor's just a dirty.
It's just the person. Exactly. Right. It's personal.
Yes.
So a Forbes list of the top 10 housing markets appreciating in value showed all 10 actually permit chicken keeping. That's a good one, huh?
But is that the main objection you hear? Is the main objection you hear real estate values, or is it just, I don't want to hear them?
I hear that I don't want to hear, and that they're smelly.
Okay.
But we know if there's no rooster, you're not going to hear them. The decibel level of a hen is about the same as a human. So you and I could be talking in the backyard, and a chicken would not be louder than that. You know what I mean? It's about the same.
Absolutely. Only time they'd ever get excited is when we in food, or we're coming out with some kind of treats or something like that,
or laying an egg.
Yeah, laying, or we had a snake get in the coop one time and they went a little nuts then. But the other myth I always heard, and maybe you're gonna get to it, is that the hen can't lay eggs without the rooster.
Yes, that's a big one. People think you have to have a rooster to get eggs. You don't. Yeah. You only need a rooster if you want those eggs to be fertilized for more chicks.
Yep.
So most people that are doing backyard chicken keeping in the city, they're not interested in that anyway. They just want to have enough, chicks to produce some eggs for their family. And that's pretty much, why we're pushing this, is because right now we're finding it such a great need. So chickens
and one more thing though, geez, this is fun to talk about. Sorry.
It's okay.
The other stat that I always heard, and I'm going to mess it up, so don't get mad at me in the comments about this, but it's basically, I think it's every house, the average household has 7 days of food, and the average grocery stores like Sam's, Publix, Costco, they have, I think, 3 days of food that could feed the entire community.
Yeah.
And so, and I could be off on days, but you get the point, is that like if something ever worse than even what happened here, happens, you're out of food in 10 days, an entire community. And so, and some people will be out quicker than that. So there should be nothing at all wrong with everyone as an individual being able to grow their own food or have their own food supply, or at least help some with it to take the strain off of everything else.
Definitely.
Okay,
I
sorry.
agree. No, it's okay. And just to go a little deeper into the noises that chickens make, they sleep at night when we sleep. So you put the chickens up in the coop at night and they sleep on their perch. They're not going to be making noises at night when it's quiet. They're not going to be doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning like a rooster would either. So we're talking hens, not roosters, just to reiterate.
Okay.
Chickens require a lot of land. I hear that one every once in a while about how, oh, you don't have enough room for them if you live in a city. Okay, so here's the fact about that. Chickens require no acreage to be kept well. Residents of all major US cities, including New York City, Denver, and Los Angeles, keep chickens with no acreage at all. The number of a family could responsibly raise in a backyard is ordinarily much more than they wish to keep. So we actually have a lot more space than we actually want to have filled with chickens. So I think it's very reasonable to, have 4 or 5 hens in a coop, an enclosed coop with an enclosed run. Now, mind you, these chickens are not going to be running around your yard. People have that idea in their head. No, they have a fenced in coop and run area where you have to protect them from predators, because we do have that. Everywhere has that. Okay?
Absolutely.
We have hawks, we have foxes.
Your dog is one of them.
Your dog, yeah, that too.
So, but again, that's part of the permitting process. Like I had to go through the Fort Myers. You had to, hey, here's where we're keeping it. Here's the coop that we have, and I think we had to even send a picture to them or something of the coop to make sure you get your final permit. So this stuff can all be checked. It's not that high maintenance of a government operation.
Yeah, the ordinances will define like the setbacks, how far it has to be from a house, your neighbor's property, how big or how small it can be, how many chickens you can have, the cleanliness, the sanitariness of it, things like that. So that's all defined. If there is an ordinance for it, it's very clearly written in all of the ones I've seen. So, and then we would be going for the same thing here.
Yeah. Yep.
So they don't require a lot of space. Now, a lot of people think that chickens attract rodents. I've heard that one. Wild animals and rodents reside in every single neighborhood. I know I've seen them around mine. I've seen palm rats, right? On the palm trees. But they're attracted to food sources like seed and wild bird feeders more than they are anything else, in garbage cans that are left out. So concerns related to attracting rodents and predators should be addressed by restricting wild bird feeders, which entice rodents and other animals into your yard. Like skunks and raccoons and other wild animals frequent backyards regardless of whether chickens also occupy these yards. So whether you have chickens or not, you're going to have issues with different types of things like that. So you can actually take safeguards, making sure you use, hardware cloth in the way that you construct your run to protect your chickens from things like that. And you can make sure their food's cleaned up and kept away from those things. So another myth is that chickens are kept only for egg productions. Therefore, limits on flock size should be calculated by the number of eggs a family needs. So the thing is, not every chicken's going to lay an egg every day.
Yeah.
So, chickens are kept for a lot of different reasons. I know we have a big 4-H group in this area, and they actually, as a project, raise chickens, and they show them as a show animal. So there's a lot of different reasons why people can have them. I don't want to say that they're just for eggs, but 4-H should be able to continue what they do. It's really beneficial to have our kids involved in an organization like that.
Yeah, I mean, most people are going to have chickens for eggs or for meat, and we're not, obviously, you're not going to be able to talk Lee County into letting you have, meat chickens for meat. That's probably not going to happen, but.
No,
Um,
I don't. I think most of the places that are considered city don't allow butchering
yeah.
of their chickens for good reason. It just wouldn't be sanitary. So I'm not proposing that at all. So
Gotcha.
anyway,
Any
we
other
want
ones?
to go ahead.
Are there any other ones?
Yes, we just want to encourage sensible regulation. That was it pretty much for my myths and facts. I
I
don't
want to
think
get,
I
I
had.
want to get to Lee County.
Yeah, get to Lee County. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's get down to business here, Heather. Okay. We're
Okay.
both chicken supporters. If someone made it this far, so are they. Um, they, and we want to help. Okay. So first off, what we need to find out is what needs to be done next for Lee County to adopt let's just say it's the same ordinance as Fort Myers. Let's duplicate it, like that was pretty easy for me. Is that kind of what you're thinking about? Like, would that be your proposal?
Yeah, I would recommend something very, very similar.
Okay.
The thing with Lee County that makes us unique is because what we're talking about with the county is you could have a very small 1/4 acre lot all the way up to almost an acre and still be under the same ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be reasonable to say minimum of, say, 4 laying hens in the smaller sized areas if they have enough space required. And then for additional space, an additional hen up to a certain amount. That's something that's going to be worked out with the county as this goes forward. But that's what I would think would be reasonable.
So basically, what Fort Myers does, except allowing for increases if you have more
Based
property.
on your lot size.
Okay. So then, so Lee County, and I don't really. I hope we don't name names or anything on this stuff here, but we you got to get them to vote on it first. Is that what has to happen?
So what has to happen is it needs to be on the agenda,
Okay.
okay, for the county commissioners. That's our next step. And that's what we're pushing for and why we've been getting so active and trying to call and email and everything, contacting our commissioners, going to that last meeting to speak out and say that this is important and we want to see it addressed. Once it's on the agenda, then we can move forward into how are we going to make this happen? Okay. And there's a couple different ways it could go. So
Can I pause for a second though?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get on the agenda?
You have to convince a commissioner. Now, mind you, the way it works with our county commissioners is the chair can't add something to the agenda.
Who's the chair?
It is Hammond.
Okay.
And so it would have to be one of the other commissioners would have to put it on the agenda. That's really all it takes, from what I understand. Okay. And that's what I've been told. Now, once it's on the agenda, anything can happen from there. But what we really need is for people to come out and show support. Keep calling your commissioners and urging them to move forward with this. Keep emailing them.
Okay, can we pause again? Has anyone said yes to you to get on the agenda?
Yes, but I don't know if I want to name names at this point. I think
Okay.
I want to wait until it's official.
Okay, so you've been told yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Air quotes if you're listening to this on the podcast. So that's good, and you'll find out about that. So then you get on the agenda. Okay, continue. This is good. I don't know the process, so it's good.
Okay, so once we're on the agenda, the key is plenty of community support. We have to have people willing to show up and tell the commissioners we're serious about this. We really think this is a good thing and we want it to happen. I'm not saying it's a requirement because they definitely have other things on the agenda where people don't show up to show support. But being that this has a history of having some controversy, it's important that we all speak our piece and try to do what we can to support it.
And they allow that during the open forum thing, right? Or
yes, there's always a public for whether it's on the agenda or not. Like last time, we were able to speak during the public forum part of the meeting at the end.
Mhm.
If it's an agenda item, they let you speak. Well, they're going to bring it up. They're going to say whatever it is they're going to say, and they're going to let you speak afterwards. So say they are talking about either creating an ordinance or a referendum or whatever it is, because there's a lot of different ways it could go. They might decide that, hey, we the people get to vote on it, and that would be great. Or they might decide they want to vote on it, and anything could happen from there. But the key is, if it's on the agenda, that's just one more step closer to where we want to be, because
And get people to show up then after that.
get people to show up in big numbers. Like, you have to show them you're serious about this. You have to be willing to at least show up. Even if you're just walk up to the podium and say, I'm for backyard chickens, that helps,
Okay, cool.
And then whatever happens from there, they're going to vote on either progressing or killing it.
But is it true though? So could the commissioners just say, okay, we adopt this ordinance and it's now a law, or do they make it a referendum on the ballot?
Now there's different ways it can go. So I've been doing a lot of research on this, and they can vote to allow it be a referendum. They could do that
On the ballot.
On the ballot in November. Okay. Or they could say they're going to vote on it and make an ordinance, and it could go that way too. But well, the most important thing is that it keeps going forward. And, ultimately we're kind of hung in the balance. But the good news is, if they say no to both of those, there's another way. We can circumvent them.
Okay.
So through the supervisor of elections, we can actually create a petition. It has to be a specific way that we have to do it. We have 180 days. There's a lot of requirements, but we can petition the community. And once we get enough petitions, then we can submit it to become a referendum on the ballot too. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it through my research I've found. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take every word I'm saying as legal jargon or anything like that, but this is what I have found so far. So there's different ways.
Okay. I just want to pause real quick and just recognize you. A lot of people talk a lot. A lot of people complain a lot. A lot of people, this is the way it should be done. This is the way that should be done. They all got an opinion, but they're not willing to get their hands dirty. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you need to be applauded for taking the bull by the horns. Should have probably used a chicken reference there. And
take the chicken by the tail.
Yeah, chicken by the feather. But that you're that you're taking action on this, and you're trying to make things happen for something you believe in. So kudos to you. Excellent job. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you. I have a little 8-year-old that's about cried when I told him it was illegal to have chickens. It was a big push for me to do something. So
good, cool. Well, is there let's do a in the post wherever this is at, let's make sure we get all the commissioner. So what can I do to help? What anyone listening right now, what should they do to help? You have a Facebook group, right?
I have a Facebook group. So if everyone who's interested in helping joins that Facebook group, I have a lot of information in that group. I have information on how to contact your commissioners, how to find out what your zone, so what your personal situation is, information on everything. We have email templates. We're trying to make it easy for people, because not everybody can come up with their own wording for things. Things like that. So we have a lot of help in the group, a lot of templates and information, and I'm also communicating with people for our next steps through the process in that group too. So, as we go, I'll be posting updates and things like that.
Cool. And then, anything you have you want me to share, just send it over to me. We'll put it in the comment, the post section, because I want to make it fairly easy. If people want to email their commissioners, let them know, hey, I support this. That would be great. And even the other thing would be cities too, right? I mean, Cape Coral could do it right now if they wanted to, right?
They could, but they have to go through their city council, just like Fort
Right.
Myers and
Just
Bonita
like Fort
did for
Myers.
theirs.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
they're
So,
incorporated. They have like another layer of government there. So
but yeah, I guess if anyone has is in a city that doesn't have chickens and they're incorporated, you can also implore them to take the
and
right action.
yeah, we've encouraged Cape Coral to do that because we've had a lot of people with interest over there that are very interested in having chickens. So
You know
we
the
have a
big,
lot of
oh, sorry.
we have a lot of information on that Facebook page about that as well.
The one thing, and looking into one of the commissioner's comments, it looked like a big concern was that, you and I love chickens, right?
Hmm.
But not everyone does. And he specifically mentioned like Boca Grande, Sanibel, these outer islands, or, they're just different pockets. And I just wonder, is there ways for the county to, is it like is it all or nothing? Do you know that? Like could it be like, hey, it's all of landlocked, Lee County and not the Boca Grande and Sanibel, Captiva area?
Doesn't Sanibel have their own city council?
Yeah. So I guess they can, yeah, yeah, you're right.
Does Boca?
I don't know that.
I don't know either. I've never looked, but
Sanibel does.
anywhere
Sanibel has a mayor. So, I mean, yeah,
they have their own,
they can
they
just
have their
opt
own
out, right?
ordinance. Yeah, they have their
Yeah.
own ordinances. Not that they'll opt out, but the county commissioners, the way I understand it, can make a county-wide ordinance, but it's really only going to affect the unincorporated areas because the incorporated areas have their own city councils and make their own ordinances.
Right. So the county could pass it. Cape Coral could say no way, and they could just have their own ordinance. Yeah. So we'll just leave it up to the cities. Heather, that's what we'll do. We'll if they don't want them, they can just vote no chickens. But the rest of the county, we need to get them. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to help feed people. I think it's a great idea. Help us be more self-sufficient.
Amen. So again, mention your Facebook page where they can go.
It's Backyard Chickens of Lee County.
Okay, cool. And highly suggest join the group, stay informed, email your county commissioner, stay in tune with what's coming up, especially if they get on the agenda. It'd be cool if you showed up, do something like that, take a stand out there, you chicken lovers. Anyways, I think that's it. You good?
I'm good.
Cool.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, well, thanks for being with me. I appreciate it. Good time. You have an open invitation anytime you want to do more of this stuff. If you got some new and exciting things you want to talk about, love to hear them.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim.
Oh, no problem. And everyone out there watching, we do a lot of different podcasts and shows. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Podcast, audio form available on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, you name it. Subscribe and make sure you share this video. Okay, get some action out there for people that are just like you, and you'd be surprised at how many people want to have chickens that you didn't know about. So again, Heather, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Go like our Facebook page. See you later. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.